We have a good 100 plus spaces right now that are like ready to be deployed. Now that it's giving coverage from other platforms, it really just sent us to the moon.
Back in 2021, we released an IGN Inside Story about the PlayStation Home fans refusing to let it die, where we took a look at a few different homemade recreations of the short-lived but much-loved social space for PlayStation 3. During this documentary, we met Nagato, a content developer working on Destination Home, a non-profit project attempting to revive PlayStation Home and restore the social hub for future generations to experience. The restoration of PlayStation Home was extremely ambitious. After the original social space was closed, not only was the service lost, but so was its data. Home wasn't on a disc or on a cartridge, and you couldn't play it offline. It lived completely within the servers that are now gone forever. That didn't stop Nagato and the Destination Home team from dreaming big though.
Even when it closed, I was trying to conceive like, yo, there's got to be somebody out there with the same interest. Like Home was such a great game. Somebody got to be smart enough to figure out how like, you know, the client server works from the actual console to like the server itself. So a few years later, voila, here I am.
At the time of our documentary, the team, after cobbling together their cached data, had built a working version of Home, but it was a purely single-player experience, serving more like a walking museum than a thriving social hub. In its infancy, the idea of having an active and public server, you know, the whole point of Home, was simply a pipe dream. 2 years later though, that dream has made significant progress. The Destination Home team have created a working online experience, and are several steps closer to fulfilling their thriving social hub fantasies. I reached back out to Nagato to not only talk about the development of the journey since we last spoke, but to also test out the playable version of PlayStation Home that's restored by its fans. This is an Inside Stories epilogue.
I just remember just spamming hello, and I'm like, this is insane. This is insane. Like, I just remember being in a Discord with the development team, and it's just like a resurgence of emotions that happened that really gave us even more drive, I would say.
In October 2022, Destination Home finally launched its first closed beta for its biggest supporters and contributors. What you're seeing right now is actual footage of PlayStation Home being played online with other fans, over 7 years after the servers were shut down for good. It's by no means a complete package, but it is a landmark achievement for Destination Home.
What's functional now for closed beta is our ability to have cross-region compatibility. We have found a way where we could take like European spaces, Japanese, for example, and put it into basically just like one massive server, if that makes sense. We've enabled purchasing features in terms of not like really purchasing store content. That is still to come, but if you had like original clothes and stuff like that, we inputted that in.
To be clear on this point, Nagato uses the word purchasing as a substitute for freely acquiring items from the old purchasing system. Destination Home has always and will always be a non-profit project. There are no microtransactions at all.
If you had your original PSN account and you bought stuff live on Home, all of your items, as long as it's been donated to us or we archived it, your services that you purchase will basically be alive. I don't know if you can see on the screen right now, these clothes that I'm wearing, I purchased way back in like 2012.
Destination Home is religiously committed to the idea of recreating the entire experience. What you're seeing right now is their first toe dipped into the Central Plaza pond. But their plans for a full recreation, they're big.
We are currently right now for a closed beta 2, have like 13 spaces that we've hand selected from feedback from our members. Overall, we have a good 100 plus spaces right now that are like ready to be deployed.
Back in 2021, the Destination Home team's data pool was limited. Collectively, they combed through all of their PS3s for all the stored data that they could find, soliciting whatever local or cache files any Home fans had left on their dusty PS3s, with the goal of being able to reverse engineer and restore the code.
At that time, we were on 1.00 client or 1.0. We basically went through many iterations to get the last client working, both on PlayStation 3 and RPCS 3 emulators. During that time as well, we successfully obtained about like 300 plus unique caches through, various means of like data capture. So during your video in IGN, we just had an influx of people just coming in the Discord or DMing me through Twitter, Reddit, even PSN. They found my PlayStation Network, just donating data. So all of these things combined has really advanced the project to a point where now we are ready for a closed beta 2.
By Nagato's own admission, the documentary helped. More eyeballs were now on the project, and with that came more hardcore PlayStation Home fans generously offering their cache data.
After the IGN coverage, it was really a big boom. I know right now, haven't checked, I know there's at least 8,400 people in the Discord alone. Even guys like Wario64 retweets my stuff sometimes. So now that it's giving coverage from other platforms, I'm able to restore data faster because people are wanting to donate. It really just sent us to the moon.
I saw this love and support firsthand in the comments section. Overwhelming nostalgia and support for the thought long-lost social platform. However, not everyone was convinced that PlayStation Home needed to return, with plenty of the audience pointing out the existence of modern alternatives, primarily VR chat. After bringing this sentiment up with Nagato, he immediately began to make a passionate defense for PlayStation Home.
The thing what I would say what Home has is like a nostalgic factor, right? People remember Home based on like their events, like FIFA Arena, where they had the 2010 World Soccer events. They had E3 stuff. Whenever they played Home, they were like, oh man, I remember when I was in middle school and E3 came out and I won this little award. We have a sister project called PS1. People still play SOCOM. People still play MotorStorm. We have like, people in the lobby, Warhawk, just still playing those old games. So virtual worlds now are going more into the NFT, cryptocurrency kind of sphere. So for me, a lot of social worlds, when they bring that element, it kind of obfuscates and, minimalizes their player base. When Home is kind of like, here, if you like Little Big Planet, we got stuff for you. If you like MotorStorm, we got stuff for you. If you like Nagato and just want to play Dance Dance Revolution all day, that's for you.
Also filled with a similar level of nostalgia, I, perhaps naively, could see Nagato's point. PlayStation Home always felt like it had a level of sincerity. It always had that feeling of a place that was built purely to bring fans of PlayStation games together. Modern metaverses can feel cynical from the outset, appearing to use your love of a franchise to manipulate you into spending more money. As I say these words, the logical part of my brain tells me that there was no doubt intent of this kind from Sony, but at least in terms of what was presented, PlayStation Home always felt a little more wholesome and cleaner than that. And a good chunk of the audience, perhaps through their rose-tinted PlayStation Home nostalgia goggles, tend to agree.
I see many people leave nice comments about, how Home changed their lives. I know people literally met up on Home, have kids now. I know people who have longtime friends on Home. Even I still talk to some longtime friends here and there. Just honestly seeing the community's respect for the project overall is something that gives me the drive to do it. I mean, you have companies like Facebook probably dropping millions of dollars, billions of dollars on certain projects to kind of emulate what Home did. It was always Sony for me. They were too far ahead for that time. Same thing like the Vita, same thing with Home. I mean, you had these really extensive, cool projects that now have a big market.
I believe the metaverse is the next chapter for the internet.
With a successful closed beta in the can and a second on the horizon, it feels like only a matter of time until PlayStation Home is once again accessible to the world. So I had to ask, can they see an end of this restoration project in sight?
I would say no. With a project like this, of course, we would want 100% snapshot of how Home has ran. Well, I feel like there will be a time where Home has become so stable that we've hit maybe like production level. We're ready to deploy for everybody on Discord. It's been running fine for 1 or 2 years after the closed beta test. I would say yes, but overall, just kind of one of those things where the ball is always rolling, I would say.
Inevitably, with any online project, particularly one developed by fans in their spare time, there was the elephant in the room that we'd yet to discuss. Safety.
For me, I do not want my project, and because I know a lot of fan projects go through that, I want everyone to have fun on Home. I don't want nobody to experience any form of bullying. That takes the fun out of gaming, and I think honestly, people game for one reason, to have fun.
Nagato reassures me that the team is working hard to make sure moderation will exist in Destination Home. But after working so hard on a restoration project, do they ever think they'd be tempted to expand the platform and maybe even develop their own content for it?
Yeah, no Last of Us minigames, no even though Gran Turismo Space would be nice or anything like that. That's not their true sense of Home. If it came out, that's our motto, we put it in. If Home actually had bugs and glitches that broke the game, that stuff will fix too.
When I last met Nagato, I asked him what his ultimate goal was. What would be the moment he could pause, reflect, and be proud of what they achieved? His answer was sweet and surprisingly modest.
Ultimate goal is to get a online client working for the PlayStation 3. Once I see another person in the lobby and I say hello and hello, we can actually say hello together. That's something our team, that's the day.
Considering they'd achieved this and beyond, it felt like it was time for a new ultimate goal.
When we actually had non-developers and regular people play our game, and we seen them take all screenshots and post it on Twitter or in the Discord, or literally seeing that resurgence of happiness, that's when I would say it'll be the day. We had it on a small scale. We had like maybe 10 people to lobby, but really seeing a ton of players. Like you go to Sodium, there's like 24 players in this. Konami, Dance Dance Revolution, and you see me and I'm trying to beat everybody in the game. You know, seeing people with their original clothing items, to have people, you know, enjoy that, that's the day.
If you'd like to get involved with Destination Home, be sure to join the Discord server. And if you like this video, please check out our other inside stories about gaming communities, including the weird and wonderful fans still playing Fallout 76, and the Final Fantasy VII fans that are desperate to resurrect Aerith.